So there's been a lot of changes around here. I've seen a lot of transformation. This building, I got a couple other structures over there we'll talk about in a moment here, but can you give me a little tour? Tell me what the heck's been happening here.
So this is the pony shelter that we built. Pony does not go in it, but that's okay, as an option. The goats, two of the new goats go in here. The older goats don't go in here. The dogs will hang out in here sometimes. We put the salt block in here, and we put some goat minerals, some kelp in here, things like that to have the goats, to encourage them to come in. And when I came out this morning, this dog here, who's Kichi, good girl, was snuggling the youngest goat, Myrtle, and they were snuggling up in a sun puddle here.
So this was just a little horse corral, if you will,
Yeah,
and then
we called
you
it,
put some cattle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we called this the vet pen because it was just a place to contain the horses out here in the paddock or in the pasture if we needed to vet them or anything needed to be done to them, they needed to be confined. So this winter we added the cattle panels in and put the tarps over it to give them a little bit of actual shelter since the old shed collapsed.
All right, and you got a gate then to close it off if
yeah.
needed. Oh yeah, who's this little one right here?
So this is Myrtle. This is our second newest little doe. She's about 10 weeks or 12 weeks old now. She's a Nigerian dwarf. We weren't intending to buy a little doe, but she's quite cute. And
Couldn't resist, could you?
yeah, couldn't resist. And so we named her Moaning Myrtle. Not even really, because she looked so ghosty in her ghost-like coloring. Didn't even realize how much she was a Moaning Myrtle, but since she was a bottle baby, she was raised a lot in the house at her previous owners, breeders. So she actually moans quite a bit about being stuck outside. So
She has some stunning blue eyes. She's really nice blue eyes.
she doesn't like hanging out with our other goats, but she does hang out with our livestock guardian dog. So we find her snuggled with a dog.
That's helpful.
Quite a bit. Yes.
All right, so you've put up some fence here that has kind of cut this down to about, I don't know, 20% of its size, and it looks like you're letting the larger field replenish.
Yes.
So what's the thinking with that?
So by permaculture standards, this would be called like infant grass. If you look down, this is a little bit of grass here. And where Mitchell's sitting over there is still like baby grass. It's just barely coming up this spring. It was grazed all winter. So by letting it, holding the horses and the goats on this horse on this side, and the goats who are not minding the fence right now are on both sides, but we're letting the rest of the pasture recover. So once it comes up and becomes like adult grass, or at least teenage grass, we're let the pony go over to the next section. We just keep giving it intentional.
Yeah. So, all right, isn't it teenage grass is kind of like the best for the animal? The animal are much more excited about it. All right, so you'll be doing paddocks just for the pony, or you're going to do chickens and goats working through it?
Will be together, and we'll start using chicken fencing to keep the chickens a little bit behind. We want the chickens to break up the goat and horse manure. Now the goat manure is not as easy to see because they pellet out like a rabbit would, so they're little pellets. But the horse manure, we joke at our pony. If you look over here, you can see manure that he's doing like the raised mounds method that maybe in Google it spells out like send me carrots or something because he mounds slide. So here you can see where the chickens have spread all this manure out, so it's not mounds.
Yeah, there were piles here just a couple weeks ago,
Right.
big piles, in
Right.
fact. All right. All right, so this is new here. So you're building out a pen,
Right. So this is
and you have a
cattle
gate
panel.
that's about to go up here as well. And tell me a little bit about this section. What's this going to be used
So
for?
this section here with the cattle panels and the T-stakes is a little bit firmer pastured or fenced, and this is going to be for our buck goats. So the buck goats, as anyone can imagine, will want to be with the doe goats, and when we separate them, as we try to control the breeding, right now all the does can be bred except for that little girl you just met. She's too young. When we separate the bucks out, this will be their buck pen. So they will be stagnant. They will live in this area probably most of their time. This is a shelter, just a rough shelter for them, with open air sides for the summer breezes. In the winter, we'll weatherproof it a little bit more, so they have a lot more shelter. But this is where they have their goat minerals. We'll bring round bales in for them to use for their feed, and we'll give them supplemental branches and roughage and stuff from the rest.
So how many bucks do you have right now?
We have one right now, Frog, and then we've purchased a second buck whose name is Hagrid, call him Hagrid, and he's from upstate New York, and he's still nursing on his mommy, so we're going to pick him up in the next month or so.
All right, so you got some good genetic diversity bloodlines here. How long has the frog, your stud right now, stud goat, how long has he been here?
Just a few months, so a month, I guess. So he has bred the girls that were coming into season. We brought in another goat last week, Ruby. She's an alpine. We've only had Nigerian dwarfs in a hybrid. So Ruby's here. She's already bred to another alpine, so she'll have a pure alpine kid or kids. And then we will want to make sure that Frog is contained in here because we don't want her rebred until next year.
Makes sense.
So we want her to have a full year.
All right, so this is a nice area here. At first, when you're talking about it, they didn't know how large it was, and now seeing it, clearly it's a nice area, nice little area for these guys to live. All right, so right on the other side here, we got something that looks like what I would call a chickshaw.
It is our poor man's version of a chickshaw. We had an old utility trailer that was back under our trees, and we pulled it out. I had to cut a tree out from underneath it to pull it out. And there's no bed on it, so we put the 1x1 welded wire for the bottom so their manure will drop through. And we have put laying boxes in the back and feed in the front and minerals. So we have kelp and calcium up front, and then we have the feeder up front. And the hens can go in and out throughout the day, and they have
Definitely reminds me of the Justin Rhodes chickshaws here.
These are I think a little cooler to pull and stuff, but this is going to work well. Now, right now.
And you repurposed it, which is the important part, right?
So we repurposed it. We were able to use a lot of materials, reuse a lot of materials, a lot of hinges and things we had from other things that we were foraging from. One funny thing is we use this heavy-duty tar paper corrugated roofing, and our pony, he was very interested. Trigger's been very interested in this shelter. You can see a nice pony-shaped bite out of it right here.
No way.
And a couple other nibble spots where he was testing to see exactly what this was. Apparently he decided that it is not tasty, but still he put a nice hole in our brand new roof.
Interesting.
But this shelter has been working really well. We can close like chickens in it at night, let them out in the morning. We have their water on the side. It's too small for the goats in the Pyrenees to get into so far. No one's gotten in there to get to the chicken feed because goats really like chicken feed. And
goats like dog feed too. So isn't your next project a dog feeder?
Yes, the next
a goat-proof dog?
project is to try and make a goat-proof dog feeder for the Great Pyrenees.
All right, you got that going on. There you go. Hi, sweetie pie. You're a good girl. You're a good girl. All right, so then when does milk production start?
So the first milk we'll have will be from the new alpine doe we got, Ruby, and she should be kidding either in the next week or the heat cycle after that. So about either 10 days or 30-ish days, she should be kidding. And she'll start milking. Now we'll let her exclusively feed her kid or kids for the first few days, and then we'll do what's called kid sharing, where we'll milk her and let the kids take what they want, and then eventually the kids will just get half a day with mom. Usually they'll be with her during the day, and we're separating them at night, so the first morning milk we'll get, and then the kid will have her the rest of the time. We kind of let the kid and the mom determine how that works out. Different moms and different kids have greater or lesser needs for eating. And then, so after Ruby has her kid, sometime mid-May, depending on the whole COVID-19 thing, we'll be going down and picking up 2 more does that we purchased and that we have deposits on in Central Ohio, bringing them up, and they will both have weaned their kids, so they'll be full-time milk.
When will I get my first goat cheese?
So you will get your first goat cheese in June.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
I can't wait. All right. Any update on SquibWych 2.0? I know that you worked on the orchard, and there's a video that's coming around planting the orchard, and you always said, right, you just have to do it. You have to do it as soon as possible because it's going to be 30 years before it's worth anything, or 20 years before it's worth anything. Any other updates on 2.0 right now?
I honestly haven't even been down there in months since I've been up here taking care of a sick relative. So I haven't been down to 2.0 in months. I am planning on doing a perimeter fence down there later this summer or this year, and starting to set up paddocks for livestock. I'm going to bring in probably the pony trigger will come down there either this summer or this fall, and we're going to try and get another pony so we can have a team on that farm.
Very nice. We were talking about a little ram pump action as well.
Yeah.
Getting a ram pump with some storage going above the pond so that you have water to move around. All right, it's exciting stuff. Exciting stuff here at SquibWych 2.0.